figured I lost enough golf matches. It's time to start coaching basketball. So, it's always exciting when you have a bunch of new guys. One thing a bunch of new players does is, although you're inexperienced, but they have the youthful energy. They're so excited to be college basketball players, to be a part of the program. That it helps you as a coach. It kind of gets you going as a coach. You got so many young guys are so excited to get out there and do what they need to do and practice, and they got young, fresh legs too. So,
is that refreshing for you? It's like a new piece of clay that you need to start molding with these new faces. I mean, is it refreshing because a lot of the veterans know what your system and what you do? Is it nice to have these young guys come in and you start to coach and start to preach what you do?
Yeah, well, from a basketball standpoint, it's really exciting because they're young, but they have talent, and we have guys that have different strengths and weaknesses. And we're doing because we're a different team this year. We have a lot of depth in the backcourt, and we have size on the front line. We change the way we play a little bit from a technical standpoint. Not changing how hard we play, though. That's the most important thing. But so we spent a lot of time as a staff in the off season, just studying other offenses and other defenses, things that we think are going to help us. We're not a program where we do the same thing every year the same way. Other than try to make sure we're playing hard and competing. So that's all. When this is what you do for a living, that's always fun and exciting. When you're always trying to improve and figure out ways that you can get better, but also accentuate your strengths.
You said when during the off season for the games that you guys were go over and compete in, you said you were going to look for certain things. You were trying to steal some things in the new guys. What did you learn about those guys on that trip?
Well, I think we focused on how hard we play. Last thing I wanted to do was worry about technical stuff, and the new guys think that that's what we're all about. We're all about competing and playing hard and togetherness. I think we really accomplished that part of it. And I'd say the biggest thing for us and the most promising thing for us from the summer was the leadership of the 5 guys that played last year, plus Deshaun Mormon, who redshirted last year. Gave us tremendous leadership and really embracing stepping up and doing the things that Sean Kilpatrick and Justin and Titus did for our team from a leadership standpoint. That was my biggest fear in losing those guys, was how much they cared about the program and cared about winning. But we had great kids, and they really embraced it, especially Jermaine Sanders. He's done a tremendous job as a leader.
Obviously, impossible to replace Sean, but Kevin Johnson, the guy stepping into that role, where's he at in terms of his ability to help you on both ends of the floor?
Well, Kevin does 2 things really well. He can really shoot the basketball, and he's a confident shooter, which I think's the most important attribute to have as an offensive player. He's got to have confidence as a shooter. And then secondly, he's got great toughness, and he's an excellent defender. So those 2 things will get you on the floor in college basketball. You can make shots and you can play defense. So it's going to be a learning curve for him, playing more minutes, cut down on his turnovers. But I think you saw last year what he was all about late in the season. As I was finding ways to get him on the floor more at the end of the year, as much as I could by playing 3 guards, because he was giving us shot making, he was giving us toughness. But it's going to be a new day for him, playing more minutes, being out there, making sure he's in shape. And his ball handling's an area he's got to continue to improve.
Especially being local, how do you keep some of that pressure off of him to, there's going to be, he's the next SK or whatever the talk may be?
Well, it's just ignoring your question. I just seen it because that's ridiculous. It's the same way I would handle, back in the day of, how are you going to, following Bob Huggins, that's never thought about it and still don't consider it. Couldn't fill his pants if I tried to. Especially the ones he's wearing now. So I just worry, Kevin's got to worry about being Kevin and playing hard. One thing we try to do in our program is, from a mental state, is get the guys focused on things we can control. Just get Kev to be Kev every day. Kevin's good enough for me. Just battle and make shots. Battle and make shots. But you bring up a good point, which is managing. The hardest thing of this job is managing expectations. And the guy, a guy has a good game, and he's going to be the next. No, it's one good game. Let's just try to have a good day of practice the next day. There's just, and it's great for sports that there's so much focus on us. But on the other hand, you got to make sure as a coach that you're managing expectations. So with Kev, I just want Kev to do the best he can do every day, and not worry about results. Just worry about his effort. He worries about his effort, and he just keeps working hard. He's going to be fine. The thing that I try to teach our guys is it's going to happen for you if you keep doing the right things. Usually later, it's going to take longer than you want it to. Our program's a great example of building our program. It took us, I wanted it to happen in 2 years, but that was unrealistic. It wasn't going to happen that quick. So, especially around here, the type of guys we get, it's usually going to happen for them later in their career. So I just ignore questions about SK. If he better not answer anything like that.
Do you think it helped Deshaun Mormon to sit out last year? Can you tell yet?
I think probably to some extent. I think he really, because he was traveled with us. Where Jamari was really at a disadvantage with not being able to travel, not being in practice. And he really saw what it was all about at the college level. And Deshaun's a guy that plays really hard, so it's not like he was going to all of a sudden become a complacent guy. He's the hardest playing guy in practice every day. I think it's going to help him that he sat out last year, 4 years from now. Because in my experience, the guys that redshirt, obviously their senior year, everybody said, "Man, thank God he's still here." But I think he definitely learned from it. I'm sure he would have rather played, but he's a guy that definitely learned from how we won games last year and what we're all about. But I think he embraces that. That's who he is. That's why I signed him. That's why he's here. So when Antoine Jackson sent me to see him, he guarded the other team's best player for 94 feet and the whole game. Like it was the most. People don't do that in AAU. He was dogging that guy, and his team lost, and he was just beyond upset that his team lost. And I hadn't seen a guy play defense like that. He broke every summer basketball rule with his hustle and his defense, and how much he cared about the outcome of the game. That doesn't happen in the summer.
Would he have redshirted if he hadn't gotten hurt? Weren't you thinking about
I think he was leaning towards it, because what the problem was, SK was one of the 5 best players in college basketball. And we kind of saw that coming. And, with Jermaine and Shaq at the other wing spot, where was he going to get minutes? I think early on I didn't know if he would be able to play some point guard. And once I saw that would have been too much for him. He wouldn't have been able to do that. It wasn't that he still couldn't have gave us the great energy. It was, where are you going to play him? It was hard to get Kevin minutes. So if I had both of them, somebody would have not played. So why waste a year? So you can ask him. But I think he was leaning towards doing it anyway.
What about his offensive skills?
Well, he loves to pass the ball. So that's a great thing for a guy that has got great quickness. He got great explosion to the rim. And for a guy, he's a guy that can dunk over you. Some guys go to the rim, can't finish, but he's got great size and explosion, strong upper body. So when he can get to the rim, he scores or he gets fouled. And he's a willing passer. He's a good passer. His jump shot's his biggest thing. He's got to continue to improve. But he's got great speed, great quickness.